Welcome, everyone, once again to the World Class Mentors. This is a radio show and podcast celebration of people who have achieved world class, and we truly honor them through sharing their stories and honoring their mentors. This is the World Class Mentors, and today we have quite an exciting guest named Alexandria Alvarez Gervasi. Welcome, Alexandria. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Tony. How are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. Well, we're so excited to have you because you just made such an incredible impact. We met back over at the OTC and the Pure Petro Energy, and you have this. You attract people with your magnetism and your energy, and it's always so positive that I wanted to celebrate you on this show. By the way, your attention to detail and management has helped guide your company, or OVS Group, from a startup to a mature, stable company. You want to tell us a little bit about OVS Group?
Yes, I would love to. So our company, OVS Group, was founded in 2009, and it was actually spun out of a joint venture where we ended up purchasing the 50% that was sold originally to the joint venture. We purchased it back, and we started OVS Group as a standalone company. So at that time, we had a small number of employees and contractors worldwide. So from 2009 up until today, we've just continued to grow the business. We've grown our staff. We have set up some mature processes in place and really been able to take the software solution that we started in 2006 to sell commercially. We've taken that across the world to deploy it in some of the largest oil and gas operators in the entire world. So we've been able to do that successfully and grow the business and just have a lot of fun along the way.
Alexandra, can you tell me what OVS Group actually does? I understand you're in the oil and gas realm, but I'm not sure I understand what all it does.
Yeah, so that is a really great question, Tony, and I'm going to answer you in a non-technical form because I'm not a technical person. But our software essentially is a software that will pull in big data, which is what oil and gas deals with. On the production side, so companies that are producing oil and gas, they're also generating a lot of data. And an engineer would normally sit behind a desk and review that data, look at it, study it, and from that point, make different decisions on how to handle the drilling or production. So what our software does, and it's a software that our owner actually designed on his own, it will look at that data, and based upon the configuration that our client has requested, it will translate the data into certain actionable points. So if, for example, they want at a certain level for an engineer to be notified, oh, I need to go out to that well and adjust it, that software will do basically, it will automate that process for the person. So instead of spending, let's say, 8 hours a day reviewing data, they have a 15-minute action item that they get automatically, if that makes sense.
You know, it really does. That's quite ingenious. Now, you have, though, Alexandra, tell me where where are you from originally, and let's talk a little bit about your family life growing up.
I am from Houston, Texas. I was born and raised here. I come from an oil and gas family. So our family moved here right before I was born from Venezuela, where my parents had moved. They met in Pennsylvania and they moved to Venezuela because my dad is from Venezuela and my mom is from Pennsylvania. So they met in college and then moved to Venezuela for oil and gas when my dad graduated, and then ended up moving to Houston to start a job once that contractor work in Venezuela ended. So they moved here, and like I said, born and raised in Houston. Our family is not from Texas, so we don't have the kind of typical Texas culture, celebration, however you want to call it. So it was always interesting growing up to hear, people doing XYZ because they're Texan, and my family is a hybrid, so we're Venezuelan we have, on the one hand, very Hispanic culture, and on the other, my mom is Italian, so we have another very distinct culture coming together. So there was a lot of, how do I say it, enthusiasm in our house, because both sides of the family are very energetic, but we love family, and we just always supported one another. We were always in it together, always spending time as a family. And I have 3 siblings, and we're each 2 years apart, so it was also just really lively to have so many kids around, so close in age. And it was just a lot of fun growing up.
It sounds like you had some fabulous meals as well with both cultures.
That's right.
Wow, that's with the Italian as well as the Hispanic. Oh my gosh, why don't you weigh 300 pounds?
Because
by the
my
way,
parents,
strikingly tall beauty, and I really did find it interesting speaking to you on our first interviews, and that's why we knew we wanted to bring you back for the radio show, because you do have so much to offer. Right now, you've kind of dedicated yourself, even though you're working and you have a position in your company, but you're working towards bringing awareness and bringing an end to human trafficking. Tell us how you're doing that, Alexandra.
So the effort for the Oil and Gas Trafficking Advocacy Group, it actually has a very interesting background story. My husband has been working in the anti-trafficking movement since 2015, and he was working with an organization, and the executive director and I became very good friends. And there were opportunities for me to go in and lead efforts in their organization during OTC to raise awareness about the issue. I did that 1 year, and then we thought, well, there's actually an intersection between oil and gas and human trafficking. So what does that look like, and how can a corporation take a stand to move against this issue and support all of the work that the government and the NGOs are doing around the world? So I just went to our CEO and I asked him a question, and I said, hey, what do you think about our company leading this effort? And he just kind of looked at me and he said, okay, if you think it's a good idea, we can do that. And I wasn't sure what that would look like, but all I did was say yes when my friend from the organization asked me, and our CEO said yes, so I had their agreement. And in January of 2017, we launched the group, not really knowing who would come or what that meant. So the NGO at that time just put out a post on their website and on their social media, okay, there's an oil and gas trafficking advocacy group launching in January of 2017. Please come if you're in oil and gas. And to be perfectly honest, Tony, no one responded. There were a few people who contacted me who were from other nonprofits, but no one from the oil and gas community. So I was feeling a little bit unsure of what would happen the day of the meeting. And so the morning of the meeting, we're sitting in the conference room, and our office has a glass wall, so I could see through the front door to see who was coming in. And this lady comes in, and I'm looking at her like, who is this lady? And she walks in the door, and she said, hey, you work at OBS Group, and you guys are one of our suppliers. This is a very large oil and gas company. She recognized our name when she saw the nonprofit's post. She said, our company does business with you guys, and you guys are leading this effort, so I really wanted to come to learn more. So this is a household name oil and gas company, very well known. She was there. She brought her coworker. So it was basically us and then one of my coworkers who hadn't known about the issue. We sat down together, and we kind of just talked about how oil and gas and human trafficking intersect, what that means, how companies can move forward to address it. And from there, so from January 2017 until now, we've continued to meet, and it's been amazing how organically at the grassroots level and at the corporate level, different things have evolved and happened, and we've really learned a lot about how companies can address human trafficking through corporate policies, through different kind of awareness campaigns, training. We've had articles written about our group. The OTC did a partnership for the fourth consecutive year to host one of the NGOs, United Against Human Trafficking, to raise the issue. So it's been very cool to see how employers can address the issue, but then at the same time, how employees at the grassroots level can really ignite a movement and get things going forward. So there's a lot that I just threw at you, Tony, but hopefully there was clarity in what I shared.
No, there is, and it's so funny. Just one person's movement can create, this ripple that gets us going this level. And between what you guys have done, it's just amazing. You also bring a wealth of knowledge and insight to everything that you do on strategies. You're an excellent strategist, and you're an excellent communicator. So you're bringing to the table some pretty specific skills that lends to the success of anything you want to do. But in this case, you really brought it to the forefront. For our listeners that do not know what OTC, that's the Offshore Technology Conference. And this year, Houston celebrated its 50th year. And it was a big event, and the world-class mentors were there, and we had the honor and privilege of having a press and being able to meet people like Tim and like Alexandria and like Katie Maynard from Pink Petro. It was just a successful event all the way around, and we really acknowledge the work and the dedication of the OTC staff. They did a great job. They even gave us a little room where we could kind of go into and record our show, so that was kind of cool. And so those interviews are on our Facebook. Alexandria, tell me, we've been talking more about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and the movement that you've created. If people want to get a hold of you or learn more about what you're doing, where do we send them?
Oh, I would love it if anyone wanted to learn more or reach out. The best way to get information would be to email the group that we've set up. It's ogtag@ovsgroup.com, and OGTAG stands for Oil and Gas Trafficking Advocacy Group. And like you mentioned, Tony, it's so interesting when one person says yes, what the ripple effect is. And just to circle back on your question about the group, we do now have approximately 7 oil and gas companies ranging from super majors who have operations all over the world, 40,000 plus employees participating in our group, down to the privately held companies with, let's say, 10 to 15 employees. So it really doesn't matter the size of the company. We're just looking for people who are willing to be a voice for people who don't have a voice. So I would encourage anyone who even has the slightest of interest, please reach out to me by email. Again, it's ogtag@ovsgroup.com, and I would love to answer any questions or get information that anyone is looking for.
That's excellent. I absolutely love that. We have a nonprofit called Texas Speaks that we are dedicating open stages all across the state. And I know we just launched. We have Houston Speaks, and actually we have the second Wednesday of every month we meet in the Woodlands. But we also have League City Speaks, Galveston Speaks, Clear Lake Speaks, Austin Speaks. We're about to launch Dallas Speaks. And so we're looking for leaders in every community who want to open a stage and have an open session once a month, 5-minute talks, sponsor tables, a whole bit. And I would like to offer you, Alexandria, and your group our stages to come in. And, we have small meetings. They're 15 to 20 to 30 people. Everybody's welcome to bring a guest. But we really do need to have and hear and listen to people that have movements such as what Alexandria has created to come over and share the stages. And that's kind of our goal, is to have stages all over the state so anybody can come up and talk about what's important to them for 5 minutes at a time. And so please consider Texas Speaks as part of your stage.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. That sounds like an excellent initiative.
Hey, we're having fun. Like you said, we're all having fun with it because we know it's the right thing to do. And I need to ask you, though, Alexandra, what is, I mean, we're such a huge city, and I've heard that the Port of Houston is very actively involved in the movement. But how do you know? How can you tell what's going through where? I mean, I'm hearing numbers such as 67,000 people that are trafficked in Houston. How are you getting those numbers? I'm having trouble seeing where you chase it. How do you find it?
Yeah, so the University of Texas actually published a study at the end of 2016, I believe, and they did a full-on research study. So I don't have those numbers at hand. However, I can tell you it's very subtle the way that girls are actually groomed to be trafficked. So you probably, like the average person, probably wouldn't be able to recognize a trafficking victim because, in fact, the victim themselves might not even understand what's happening to them. So the reason I say that is because it's a very subtle mind manipulation that these groomers actually enact onto the girls. So it could be, and this is something, I have 2 daughters and a son, but specifically for my 11-year-old daughter, we are very vigilant of social media. She doesn't have any access to social media, and that's because when you allow your child to have an open social media account, you're basically allowing the world to have access to your child. So what these groomers do is via Snapchat, via Facebook, Instagram, these different sites, they'll just reach out as a 16-year-old boy, let's say, oh, you look very beautiful. And then what they're doing is gathering data on these children. Okay, your parents work. You are vulnerable because you have a low self-esteem, let's say, right? What teenager isn't kind of processing that sort of emotion? But then they come in, and then when they see an opportunity, they'll swoop, right? Oh, you just had a fight with your parents and you want to go to a party. Can I take you? I would love to go pick you up at a party. And so then they take these children and they then break them, quote unquote, which is really a horrific part of what happens in the experience. And then they begin to sell them. And then at that point, that's when parents understand that their child has been vulnerable. And then that's when kind of Vice gets involved, investigations and whatnot, and they understand their child has been taken by a human trafficker.
Oh my God, that's really scary. So they think it's just a friend inviting them to a party.
Yeah. I've even heard of people being groomed by other people who they met at church camp or in their cheerleading team or their friend's mother. So it's really, you think about culture, you think about the way that we've embraced kind of this fast-paced world where you don't necessarily stop to ask questions. And that's where the opportunity has been opened up for this nefarious business to come in, to prey on people who are looking for quick money. They're not really thinking about the consequences of their actions. They're not understanding that this is impacting a human life way beyond just the event, because the trauma that these girls incur takes years and years to be fully restored.
Oh my gosh. Alexandra, who were your mentors? Who inspired you? You're such a wonderful leader. Tell me who brought you.
I would name my mom and dad as the forefront. They both always spoke over me things, and I look at them like, what are you talking about? My dad would say, you're going to be a lawyer one day. And my mom would say, you're going to be the president of the United States. And I didn't necessarily understand what they were talking about, but I would just kind of smile. And then when it came time for me to go to school, I went to the University of Texas, kind of just got in the program that I found a niche in, which was Latin American Studies. And I didn't pursue the lawyer route or the president route, but I did just do my best and put in the work. And then after I graduated college, I moved to Europe And then I moved back to Texas after I had my oldest daughter. And that's when my dad said, hey, we're starting this company, and I think that you are the right person to lead the kind of office management aspect. Because at that time, we weren't really sure of where the company was going to go, and it had explosive growth. But he trusted me because he saw something in me from a very young age, and he gave me that opportunity, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I would also say Jesus Christ has softened my heart, because when I got out of high school, I had made a bunch of bad decisions, and I kind of thought that I knew everything. And then that translated into college and even after college. But at that point, I really allowed him in and learned to love people well. I learned to love myself well, and I learned to really understand what humility looks like, what it meant to serve others, and basically how to give away my life the way that he gave up his. So Jesus, my mom and dad, and there were several teachers along the way in my elementary and middle school. I went to a small private school, and I would say the principal, who was one of my very close friends' mom, she just was a light to me. She would always smile and tell me how amazing I was. She would always give hugs and show us love. And then my 8th grade art teacher, she called me Vina Warrior Princess. And so she, again, just kind of spoke this thing over me that has now come into full flourishing in my life. So there are many people that I'm grateful for, but I would specifically name those people.
The only thing missing is their names. Can I have their names?
Yeah. My parents are Jose and Lainey Alvarez. Jesus Christ, the King of the world. My teacher, my 8th grade art teacher is Miss Ward, and then the principal from when I was younger, her name is Marcy Burlick, and she actually went to be with Jesus when we were teenagers.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's so funny. Whenever I meet someone who I immediately put into the classification of world class, and especially world class mentors, they have this commonality. It's a humility. It's a servant mentality. We want to help, and that really is what makes it. You've got a mission. You've got values. You've got a vision for where things need to be at. And I highly celebrate you, Alexandria. Thank you so much for spending time with us today on the World Class Mentors. And to everyone out there, please feel free to listen to our episodes. We're out every Monday. We've got a new episode, and Alexandria is going to be one of the top ones, I can tell. So the World Class Mentors, everyone, is a radio show and podcast celebration of people who have achieved world-class status. And we honor them through sharing their stories and honoring their mentors. If you have someone who you would like to nominate to be on the World Class Mentors, please go to theworldclassmentors.com. And there's one little block at the top of the page that says, apply to become our guest. And you can also nominate someone to become our guest. Through that, our producers will work hand in hand with you to make sure that we find more Alexandrias out there. And Alexandria, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of this. We look forward to working with you, supporting you in any way that we can. And to all of our fans, thank you so much. Alexandria is right there for you. She's given you give me your email one more time so they can participate in the group. I think you said OGTAG. That's O.
That's right.
And then G like in goat. TAG at OVS.com. And that's how you can get a hold of Alexandria if you're interested in supporting her cause and helping us with this horrible plague on the American public. Thank you again. Alexandria, you've been wonderful. Everyone, welcome to World Class Mentors. Don't forget, we're here every Monday. See you soon.